Hello again. In this utilities tutorial, we're going over the number format cycler. The default keys for this are Ctrl Shift Alt and Backspace for the cycler, and Ctrl Shift Alt and F1 for the custom formats that the cycler uses. This utility is actually pretty sweet because at every company I've ever worked for, they always have custom number formats that they like to see on all the reports. And there's usually, anywhere from 3 to 10 of them. And I usually like to be able to switch between those formats on the fly using the keyboard. I don't know how to do that with any built-in capabilities of Excel, so Nutilities offers that to you. So let's take a look first at how the number cycler works. Actually, before we get started, we'll take a look at where you can find this on the Nutilities menu. So if we go to the Nutilities menu, you can find the description of the number format cycler on Formatting and View under Cycle Number Format. And that'll give you a description on how the number format cycler works. Or if you want to see how to customize it, that would be on the Intro Setup under Custom Keys Cycle. So let's take a look at how the cycler works. On the left here, you can see I've set up a little box, and basically it's going to show you every time I run the cycler what kind of number format it's going to give me. Something to pay attention to is the one I have listed as 0. That's the default number format that it's going to go to, and that cannot be changed. So let's see how this looks. If I have a number in a cell, so I'm just typing in some random number right now. Let's say there's a number in this cell, and I want to quickly cycle it through my number formats. These are the default number formats that are set up with this cycler. So if I want to quickly cycle it through those number formats, if I hit with my left hand, Control, Shift, Alt, so I'm holding down those 3 keys with my left hand, and then I hit Backspace once, you can see that the number changed to the first one in the cycle. Right now I'm actually still holding down Control Shift Alt, and I'm going to hit Backspace again, and you can see it went to the next in the cycle. And then I can just keep tapping Backspace to go through the cycle. So now we're at date, tap it again, we're at percent, and so forth. If you ever come up to a number, so let's say you click on a cell and it's already got a number format in it. So let's say I have this cell, and this cell already had, let's say it was already formatted to, let's put it to this fraction. So you can see I've set this cell to fractions. If I click on this cell now and I hit the utility, Control Shift Alt Backspace, you'll see that it immediately goes to the first cycle of 0. So it puts it to general. And then if I hit it again, run the utility again, we start going through. So that's cycle number 1, cycle number 2, cycle number 3, which you can't see because there's not enough space. Or actually you can't see it because it doesn't make any sense, because that's date. And then 4 would be percentage. So to recap that, any number you want to cycle, you just click on the number. And you can actually do this to multiple cells at the same time. So if there's multiple cells that have numbers in it, you can do all of them at once by just highlighting all the cells you want to do, holding down with your left hand, Control, Shift, Alt, and then tapping Backspace as many times as you need to get through to the number that you want, or the number format that you want. Pretty sweet, right? Okay, now let's say you don't like the built-in formats. So like you're not happy with these setup. Your company uses your own number formats. That's fair enough, and it's expected even. So I've put together this table, and let's say that these are the number formats that your company likes to use. Whatever company you work for, I'm sure they have an Excel workbook that shows you the formats they like. The quickest way to capture those is this way. So if we want to customize our number formats, we can either hit Control Shift Alt and then F1, which will pop up the Customize Setting menu. Or the second way would be to go to Add-ins, Utilities, Custom Settings, and that will also pop up the menu. On that menu, you can find Number Format Cycler, Click there, and it'll ask you how many number formats you would like in your cycle. This one, even though there's 4 lines, there's actually only going to be 3 formats because 0 doesn't count. That one's already built in, and you can't change that. So we're going to put in 3, hit OK. Now it pulls up the menu saying, this is the menu that lets you allows you to set up your custom formats. And you can have up to 10. I only said that I wanted 3 here. And the way this works is each one of these rows corresponds to one of the cycles. So this is cycle number 1, cycle number 2, cycle number 3. And right now it's got these settings that I already had in there. To change these, you would simply, let's say I want that one to be the first one. All I do is click on the cell, hit click to capture active cell number format, and you can see now that that number format is set up for the first cycle. To capture the next one, I can just click on it, hit click, now I've caught that format. And I'm going to do the same thing for the third one. Capture the format, and then once you're satisfied, you can click save. Are you sure you want to save? Yes, I'm sure. So let's take a look at how that works with this. And like I said before, this can be used on multiple cells. In fact, let me just put a negative number in that cell so you can see it working on negatives. And those cells don't even have to be next to each other. By holding down Control to highlight 2 of them, I have 2 cells highlighted. And now with my left hand, I've hit Ctrl Shift Alt. And with my right hand, I'm going to tap Backspace a few times to let you see how it cycles now. So when I hit it once, you can see that it has now hit the first new cycle. Sorry, that was the wrong key. If I hit it a second time, goes to the next cycle, you can see now it's in millions. I hit a third time, it's in thousands, and if I hit it again, we're back to general. And I can just keep doing that as much as I want. So you can see now it's no longer using my default setup, it's using the setup I just created. And every time I start up Excel, it'll be remembered, so those custom formats will always be available to you. I find it very useful for making reports. Now let's say that you didn't want to, let's say that you liked the original setup, you liked this setup, but you just wanted to add 2 more custom formats to it. So instead of deleting these, you wanted all 4 of these, plus you wanted, let's say you wanted millions and thousands as well to be part of the cycle. And right now I'm putting this table together just for demonstration purposes. You don't need a table like this. You just need to have the number format somewhere in a cell that you can grab. So the quickest way to get back to the defaults would be to go to the menu, type in, you can type in any number you want here if you're going to defaults, any number from 1 to 10 that is, because to get back, to make these back, or to reset it to defaults, you just click to restore defaults here, hit OK. And if I come up back here, you'll watch that the cycler is taking me back through the defaults now. So now it's already set up back to being this way. And to get it to have these extra 2, I would just go back in and now add a couple more. So I'd go custom settings, number format cycler, and now we want 6. And you can see that this showed up and it's got a couple extra ones that aren't filled in yet. So I'm just going to quickly fill them in with the 2 that I want. But let's say that I want thousands to actually be before millions. I'll set it up here, and I'll set up millions below it. And then if I click Save, hit OK, let's see how this works. So I'm holding down Ctrl Alt Shift with my left hand, and I'm going to start tapping Backspace. Tapping Backspace once gives me number. Twice gives me currency, 3 times gives me date, 4 times gives me percent, 5 times gives me thousands. Remember I set it up with thousands first, and then the 6th time gives me millions.